Hey folks, okay, we're looking at 1974, and it's only rock and roll. As you can tell, that album cover, it's set in ancient time, and they have the band kind of prominently on the front cover. They're coming down the steps. It was sort of sort of symbolized the band, um, knowing that they want to keep their image, their rock and roll image, if you will. And so that's how they came up with It's Only Rock and Roll. Because the previous album, a lot of people didn't like Ghost Head Soup, And so the response was, it's only rock and roll, but I like it. And what do you want me to do? Prance around on the stage? Like a loon? Like a fool? Or or perhaps commit suicide on the stage floor, Like you said, like what the lyrics say. Not much people didn't like this album. Once again, it was kind of mixed by a lot of the Stones fans at the time. They had a very successful, though, European tour in 1973, the previous year, and they went off to Germany to record this album. It was released October the 18th of 74. It was recorded in November the 12th through the 24th of 73, and then proceeding for the next year on February the 8th through the 13th and the 20th through the 20th of 74, and then March the 3rd, the very next month. So over in Europe, it was it went to number 2, and it was the 12th studio album over there. It went gold. Over here, it went number 1. It was the 14th album for the Stones here, and it went platinum. 3 different recording studios, well, in Germany, Musicland, Stargroves, and Island, and I'm assuming Olympic, I guess, too, as well. At this point, they didn't contact Jimmy Miller. Apparently, Jimmy Miller's last album with the band was the previous album, which was Ghost Head Soup. And they ended up producing this album themselves. And the last time they did was almost 8 years ago. Well, we're thinking 74. It was a good 8-9 year span there when they did their Satanic Majesties, which of course Andrew Lou Goldham didn't do for the band. They came out with the name Glimmer Twins. This was sort of the beginning of that, the credited name, or, whatever. It was, they came up with that name from when they were traveling to Brazil in 1968. Back when Jagger was with, Marion, and Keith with his girlfriend, at that time. At this point, Mick Taylor wasn't really satisfied with the band. He was very dissatisfied, perhaps, The poor guy didn't get as much credit. He would do some guitar stuff and, throw out some notes and stuff, then Jagger Rich, I guess they just didn't, they just didn't bother to credit him. So shortly after this album, he left the band. And there was no tour to promote this album at all. They waited until next year when they brought in Ronnie Wood. This is sort of the beginning of him, coming into the band. At the time, Keith Richards was living with Ronnie Wood, and he came up with the sort of the guitar rhythm or whatever chords to It's Only Rock and Roll. And they had a huge tour by the next year, 1975, that summer. And of course, Ronnie Wood was the rhythm guitarist for the band, but wasn't officially with the band just yet, because they were also auditioning for other people, including Jeff Beck, Wayne Perkins, Harvey Mandel, and Rory Gallagher for their next album, Black and Blue. And the designer for the album cover, which I showed you there, was a guy named Guy Peelarter. Also, early in that year, he did the cover art for David Bowie's Diamond Dogs, so it's kind of interesting. But originally, this album, the way they wanted to do this album originally, the original idea was that they were supposed to do live and covers. One side live, one side, cover song. The few that, well, they managed to throw one of their covers on here, and that's the, the Norman Whitfield, song, Ain't Too Proud to Beg, which of course was big for the Temptations in 1966. Shame, 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 Jimmy Reed, and then also Drift Away by Dobie Gray. And unfortunately, they didn't make it on this album. So we got a lot of, a couple of people from the previous album, including, well, of course, Nicky Hopkins. He's been there for the Stones since, during their psychedelic period. Billy Preston and Ray Cooper, who also plays some percussion on this album. I still think this is a very good album. It's not bad, and, it's not that great, but, whatever. Alrighty, so let's get to it here. First opening track is If You Can't Rock Me. Nice bluesy, groovy Stones song. Of course, it's such a, just that rocking feel of the Stones, Very milky and wah-wah-ish. I believe Face Shifter by Mick Taylor. No Bill here, but Keith plays bass on here. Really good. Really boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? Billy Preston on piano. I don't know if I can tell. I was listening to this song kind of recently. I'm like, I don't know if I hear him. And Ray Cooper on percussion. This is a just flat-out Stones rocker here. Fantastic. Not much to say, but yeah, great. Then the second track is Ain't Too Proud to Beg. This was actually a hit for the Stones. This went to number 17, December of 74, right around the time that Mick Taylor left the band. They had a promo for this video, if you guys check it out. They're in pink suits on the stage, sort of propped or whatever. And Mick Taylor's in the music video, but I think at that time he had left the band, like I mentioned. It's a good rendition, a very rocking rendition, Ain't too proud to beg, sweet darling, don't you go. Ain't too proud to beg, baby, you know what I mean? Keith plays on electric, but no Mick Taylor here. Unfortunately, he wasn't here for this session. Billy Preston on piano and clavinet. We also have Ray Cooper on percussion. I love that cowbell too by this guy named Ed Leach. It is a very fine cover, very rocking cover, of course. Good, I like that. Then our third track is, of course, the album title. It's Only Rock and Roll, but I like it. This went to number 16 in July of that year, 74. We got members of the Faces here. Forgot their names. Well, the drummer and the basses, I don't remember their names. But Ronnie Wood here is playing a 12-string acoustic guitar in the intro, the intro part. And David Bowie is doing backing vocals. So maybe he saw that, the same guy who did his album, cover. He was like, hey, maybe I should join in here, I don't know. Just saying. So like I said, no Charlie, no Bill here. We got, the Faces bass player and drummer covering for them. And Ron Wood, like I said, mentioned the 12-string guitar. I love Keith's almost dirty, gritty sort of, sound here. And, let's see. And we also got Ian Stew on piano. And no Mick Taylor here. Yeah, It's Only Rock and Roll. I mean, how could anyone not like this song? It's a staple for every single concert that the Stones had ever did. And who doesn't love that? Just that music video. It's so fantastic with the sailor suits. They didn't want their gear messed up. They're in this tent thing and bubbles. And poor Charlie. I heard that he was sitting down. The poor guy got blinded. And of course, everyone else, were covered with suds. But, they weren't as much, suddied up than Charlie. This is a fun, just what a great song. It's Only Rock and Roll. It's just that meaning is right there. You can clearly see what Mick's talking about here. It's like, well, if you didn't like Ghost Head Soup, but guess what? It's only rock and roll. Yeah, whatever. Great freaking song. It's Only Rock and Roll. Then we get the fourth track, Till the Next Goodbye. This is sort of like a Wild Horses Angie feel. It's a nice medium tempo ballad. I love those acoustic guitars. Towards the mid there, we get Keith playing his electric as well, sliding in there. I love Charlie's pounding too as well. Gives it that nice feel. I also love Nicky's beautiful, you know, his sort of arranging, his piano playing here. Very well. I love how all three of them can just play, you know, to play the acoustics here and just make it so like, make it like a Stones ballad, you know. It's very nice. It's almost like, you know, the meaning of, till the next time we say goodbye. You know, it's almost like, well, you know, it's almost like a breakup song, kind of, you know. Yeah, just I love this song. I also love Charlie's, like I mentioned on here, his snares at the end. Or, you know, his snares here, or the, you know, the bass drum or whatever. So it's a very good song. Really love, you know, really love this song. Great. Then we get the last track on side one, and it's Time Waits for No One. What a great song. I was like hearing a little bit of like the, you know, the Miracles, or not the Miracles, the song Miracles. Excuse me. Wrong. Wrong. Yeah, Miracles by Jefferson Starship. It reminds me of that. It's a little bit of a Latinish feel. But it's a nice, milky and soulful ballad here. I very much love the chimes. Gives it that gypsy feel. And the milky synthesizer by Bill. And then, wee, 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 you know. Love Nicky's piano playing on here, and such as Ray Cooper on percussion. Mick Taylor's playing acoustic, and it's beautiful. And I love the electric too as well. I think that's Mick playing that as well, and even Keith. So I very, very much love this song. Time Waits for No One. What a beautiful song. It just has that Latinish feel. And they almost kind of improvise a little bit at the end, kind of, sort of. And it's almost like jamming, free jamming at the end. Gives it that Grateful Dead feel, I guess, I'm assuming. But I love that one. Fantastic. It sounds very much like that song, Miracles, if you listen to that one. Then we get to side two. We get Luxury. This song's, it's alright. It's a very upbeat reggae, you know, which of course they would have on their next album, you know, Black and Blue. And with that Stones feel, you know. But it's got that, you know, the popping, you know, that Bob Marley kind of Wailers, you know, I guess influence, whatever. Keith on electric, and no Mick Taylor here. Nicky on piano, and Ray Cooper here on percussion. It's not bad of a song. It's, you know, it's alright, you know. It's about, I don't know what it is. You know, he's talking about his job, I guess. I don't know. Keeping himself in luxury. I'm assuming he wants to be kept in style, but who freaking cares? It's alright. We get the next one here. Dance Little Sister. This one's just a straight up Stones groover here. You know, just a crunchy Stones rocker. Dance, little sister, dance, you know. I love it. You know, it has that Stones, typical Stones lyrics, you know, and that Stones feel. And special here, but I love Keith's electric here. I think Mick's on here as well, and you got Ian Stew in the back, you know. It's a good one. I like it, you know. You know, it seems a little bit, you know, samey, you know, kind of, but it's still a good song. Great. Then we get, oh my God, I love this one. This one's called If You Really Want to Be My Friend. I call it a great soulful ballad. It's very wavy, milky, very much for that time. Played by Billy Preston. He's on the, you know, right channel. Really great, and also beautiful acoustic here by Keith. It's quite a long track. It's about maybe 5 minutes, 6 minutes, something like that. Like I mentioned, Keith plays acoustic and Mick on electric here. And we got backing vocals. And this was my dad's original 45. Can you believe that? We got, well, of course, tons of vinyl and, you know, whatever. So pretty much everything I show you guys, it's pretty much original. Remember that label, or the, you know, the label Atco? The Bee Gees were on there. A couple of other artists. But of course, always, not much people ever talk about this. You know what I mean? I love 70s soul. You know what I mean? We're talking that, you know, Philadelphia soul. You know, like the stylistics and, you know, and the main ingredient. Just all those, you know, Hall & Oates. Of course, everyone's got to remember this song. Step right in. You know, just a great song. And the group's called Blue Magic. It's called Sideshow. Let the sideshow begin. Hurry, hurry, step right on it. What a great song. I love that one. It came out in 74. Oh yeah, you got them in the background. Beautiful, great. Nicky Hopkins on piano and Billy Preston. I love it. It's so beautiful. Very milky and soulful. Great. I mean, it's got that Philadelphia feel a little bit, you know. Then we get the next song, Short and Curly's. AKA Got You by the Balls. All right, well, like, not like we didn't need to know. It's a very boogie-woogie feel song. Ian Stew's in the back, you know, Keith and you know, Keith's doing that bluesy kind of, you know, I mean, just that, you know, feel like we, you know, I mean, feel like we've been there, done that, you know. It's a little bit, you know, it's not my taste, but you know, it's okay. Short and Curly's. All right, and then we get the last track on here, Fingerprint File. This is a straight up funky. Who's that lady? The Isley Brothers. They were very much influenced by, you know, I'm pretty sure by this point, you know, because the previous album had a lot of that. Like that, you know. It's basically about the surveillance of keeping, you know, your identity, you know, basically. And knowing that, you know, the government has your fingerprint file 6 feet high, you know, in a cabinet somewhere or whatever, you know. You know, what do you expect? You know, it's just that rock and roll, you know, drugs, all that kind of stuff. Funky and R&B tune, I like to call this. I love Mick's sort of, I love his sort of talking. He almost, like, he sounds like he's talking and singing at the same time here. Great. He plays electric guitar here, by the way. That funky, kind of milky kind of electric here, and even Keith as well. Mick Taylor plays bass. You know, it's got that funky bass. And Bill's on here, but he's playing synthesizer. You know, it's got the, you know, that sort of sound. Nicky on piano, and Billy Preston on that clavinet, you know. And then Tabla sort of kind of in the 5-minute mark there by this guy named Charlie Jolly. Like, I don't know what his name is, but okay, on tabla. It's 6 minutes. It's a great song, you know. It's just like one of those songs you want to just groove to it. You know what I mean? It's a funky song, and it kind of looks forward to their next album. You know what I mean? Black and Blue. But yeah, very much. It's definitely a funky for that time period. I'm assuming. You know, talking about 52nd Street, I believe, or no, I don't think so. I'm thinking about another song, but yeah, yeah. I just love like Mick's sort of talking in this song, you know, talking about, you know, his privacy and stuff, keeping, you know. But what the heck? It's only rock and roll. I think this album isn't that bad. What people say, you know, but it's still a pretty good album. The next one is Black and Blue from 1976. So the auditioning for guys, you know, even Peter Frampton too. You know, they had that big successful tour in 75 to promote this album. So, fantastic, you know. It's not bad of an album, but I definitely think that it's definitely unappreciative or, you know, very, very underrated. So thank you, folks. Take care. Bye-bye.